The business review segment today will be focusing on business budgeting. When it comes to financial life of a business, what are the things that you must do? What are the things that you must not do with your finances? And how best can you budget? And do you know that there are types of budgeting for your business? This is what Dr. Toby Awaye will be telling us on the segment, the business review segment, as we'll be looking at the benefit of business budgeting. Thank you for coming, Dr. Toby Awaye.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Apologies, we're starting the schedule.
No problem. And now let's talk about the business budgeting. What does it mean for an expert like you? I know that you have a lot of analysis for it, a lot of breakdown. But for those who are just coming into the business, the SMEs, the macro businesses, and those who are into buying and selling, especially trade, what does it mean?
All right, basically, when we talk about budgeting, it's basically about having a plan, in terms of costing.
Okay.
Or let me say, having a projection into what it will cost you to do certain things. So even there's a believer's book or scripture says, see that a man who wants to build a house that will not first of all sit down and count the cost. So even this thing called budgeting is something that is an ancient thing. So it's expected that as a business owner, you need to be able to, project that this thing is what I want to do and how much will it cost me. So in simple terms, budgeting is your ability to plan, into the future, to look at what will this thing cost me, how much will I need. It's about planning. Basically, it's about looking into the future and looking at the cost factor. And so I want to start this business. How much do I need to get a store? How much do I need to, will it cost me for logistics? How much will all of this take? Your utility bills. So having all of these things as plan is what in accounting has been put together or termed as budget.
Okay. With what we have read and looked into from your side, you know that there's operating budget,
of course,
cash flow budget, master budget, flexibility, marketing, zero-based budget. All of these, does it come along the overall budgeting? When should you segment all this budget, or you can go at the same time in the process of budgeting?
Of course, when you are budgeting, it's from operation to cash flow to marketing, even to profitability. You must be able to see ahead. What budgeting does for you is it equips you with the opportunity to see the profitability of what you want to do, or to see the cost effect of what you're about to start. Can it carry for building a mansion or a bungalow? So these things are what help you make an informed decision. So when it comes to budgeting, it's about doing things in projection of what you are expecting or what you have at hand to achieve what you want to get. So basically it's about forecasting, projecting into the future, but this time around is in terms of costing or financial implications.
Okay, let's talk about the key components now of having a good and very effective budgeting. Now, with your explanation, that means you must sit down and have a total plan when it comes to your financial life for your business. So what are the things that you must put in place when you want to plan these finances for yourself and for the business?
Of course, as a business person, one of my major advice to SMEs or micro businesses is that you need to first of all understand what is it that you are budgeting for. You know, everything is about divination, and they say that abuse is inevitable when something cannot be divined. So when you do not know the reason why you are, why you are going into it, so you ask yourself, why do I want to do this thing? So when you know what you want to do, then you will be able to plan appropriately in terms of costing. So you are saying, in my operations, do I need at this stage of my business, do I have what it takes to hire people? You know, you are looking at it and saying, at the end of the year, I want to be able to do, say, 20 million. And then what will be your marketing cost? Say, for instance, you sell a mobile device. You want to look at it, okay, for me to sell a single phone, it will cost me 5,000 naira to make an ad that will make me sell a single phone. So what will be my profit on that? And where will I get the phone from? So these are things that inform your budget. So you want to do your costing in terms of operation, in terms of logistics, in terms of your marketing. Then you also want to look at it that, what will I save? Because this is one of the things people don't budget for. People don't budget for savings.
Okay.
It's like, okay, if I make 20,000 naira on a phone, for instance, then I need to be able to save, X percentage of that profit, so that it helps me to mitigate some market market forces. That, for instance, if you have to buy some things in January and you are just buying them in March, when in January the phone price was 730 something naira, and now it's 1,260 naira, you will see that there's a difference. So most of the time, business owners or SMEs don't always make room or budget for unforeseen circumstances. That is what we now tag, many a times we call it miscellaneous. But sometimes in your budget, there are rooms where you would have made provision for it. So that is why, for me, I advise most SMEs to create a budget that is futuristic in nature, and then put all of the Nigerian factor into your budget. And so for this thing I want to go into, for instance, if you need to rent a house in January, the same price you rent the house in January is not what you're going to get it now, because so many factors are now attached to that particular housing or apartment that you want to get based on the current market reality. So we advise business owners to budget from operational perspective, from logistics, from other things that are attached to it, then their marketing especially, because their marketing is the main driver for your business. Whether you are going to even sell in the first place, to now recover the money you are putting in, it's very key that you budget for marketing.
Okay. The explanation you gave about the futuristic plan for your business budget, what role does it play in your business? Does it have a particular place, or you just look ahead just for looking ahead sake?
Well, when we say you are projecting futuristically, what that means is, budget is to help you see the future. Like if I spend 20 naira and I'm going to make 25 naira, I'm going to make 30 naira or 35 naira. It's because when you're being futuristic in your plan, it helps you to see what you are entering into. So one of the things why it's important to plan futuristically using data and analysis is because it can help you prepare you for the journey. So you can't just, for me, I know today I'm supposed to be on this station, so I would have budget for what it will cost me to come here. So you don't just expect magic to happen or things to happen accidentally. So when you budget, for Nigeria as a nation, we have budget. Ogun State has a budget. Ogun State has over $1 trillion budget for 2026. And then one of the budgets that sticks to my head is the fact that, for instance, Ogun is building 1,000 units housing this year with about 100 billion or thereabouts, or 100 million. So that one is something that that helps the government to know that, this year we are spending this on this part, and the same way it applies to every individual. So whether your business is large scale, small scale, or even is an idea stage that you want to launch, there is a need for you to think, in the next 6 months, what will it take me to do this? In the next 1 year, how much will I require to get this done? So, and that is what it means to plan futuristically, and then using data by getting, somebody has done this before, this was what the person was able to, this is the costing. You check different statistics, and then add some form of inflation to it and say, okay, plus or minus, let's say this thing increased by 20%, by 10%, and
when you are ready to do it.
When you are ready to do it. So, or even while you are on the project, sometimes things can change. So you have to look at, in case the price of, we don't control the market forces. It is a war in Iran and US that is causing fuel hikes in Nigeria. So these things are something that you need to look at holistically on a global scale, on a national scale, then on a local level to say, okay, this thing I want to do, if it has anything to do with the global market, how does it have impact on my costing? If it has anything to do on a national market, on a national scale, how does it have impact on what I want to do? So these things are what you need to put together when you want to do your budgeting.
Okay, let's talk about expansion now. When you are trying to grow your business, and your budget is something that you must put in your business plan from the beginning with what I've heard. Now, growing and expanding your business, what is the role of budgeting when you're growing and you're looking at most times when you want to diversify too? So is budgeting those plans that you must put in place when you want to expand, grow, and diversify?
Of course, budgeting is very, very critical when you want to do anything. In short, it's like when people are pregnant for 9 months and then it's time for delivery, and then say situations change, then somebody is now saying, oh, I never prepared for this. It shows the level of unpreparedness that people bring even into business. So when you from idea stage, that is the pregnancy stage, where you are thinking, oh, I want to own 5 outlets, I want to hire 20 people, you must be able to look at what it will take first. How do I get the money, the funding? This is also part of budgeting. How do I get the money? I'm going to expand. I need to hire 5 more people, because expansion is in scale. Whether you are opening a new outlet, you want to become a network of business, or your business is expanding in a metrics method, you also need to understand that that thing that you want to do would have a cost implication. So in other words, you are looking at it and say, okay, if I'm hiring 2 more people, how much do I want to pay them? What level are they coming in? Are they coming in as entry level, or they are coming in as a professional? So this is determine how you then budget for your expansion. So, and then when you are getting, for instance, if you are expanding on a metrics base or a network base, you want to get a new store. You are looking at it from the perspective of, oh, if I need to set up a new store in, let's say, Ojodu, for instance, you will not spend the same amount you used to get a store in Abeokuta and getting a store in Ojodu, Ogun State. So you want to begin to look at how much will it take to get a new space. What will I need to put in place in that new space? So these things are part of the things that will inform your decision in terms of budgeting. So you begin to look at it, okay, currently what we are doing is 20 million. If you open that new store in Ojodu, that store should be able to do an addition of another 20 million. So what do we need to do to get that place started? How many people do we need to hire there? So these are things that you have to factor in when you are projecting.
So
and
budgeting is not totally, entirely about money alone.
No, it's not about money. It's just that it helps you to determine, what you're about to do in terms of figures.
Okay.
So, for instance, you want to, like I gave an example the other time. The Nigerian government, let me use, I want to use something people can literally relate with. Nigeria is planning for election 2027. So, as we are speaking here, part of the budget for 2026 is, a portion of it has been infused into what it will cost for INEC. So one of the things that we want, INEC also have their own budget, printing of their electoral materials and all of those things. Let me say I'm speaking too large for small scale business owners. Let's come back home and say, for instance, somebody wants to start a shop, maybe an housewife wants to start a shop. First thing, you need to know how much will it cost you to get a shop. It's not because you just get a shop, say, I need a shop. So you need to know how much will it cost to get a shop. So budgeting is very expensive, but it helps you to understand your vision or your planning in terms of numbers, in terms of figures. So you're able to put it in kobo and naira, or even if you're not using kobo and naira, you're using dollars or pounds. It helps you to see everything all the way through in terms of what it will require in liquid cash.
Okay, let's talk about types now.
Okay.
We mentioned some the other time,
yes.
like the zero-based budgeting. Let's look at the type. What type of budgeting is suitable for small and medium-scale enterprise? And at what point should they start looking at reviewing this budgeting? Should they start at the beginning of their business life, or the middle, or when they have problem with their business? Is that when budgeting should be useful for them?
No. Budgeting should not be a thing that happens when there is a situation that warrants that you go back to round table. Budgeting is something you have to plan for. Like I said, for every one of us, let me even use something that's very general. When we are approaching towards the end of the year, everybody is beginning to write a New Year resolution. Some people write their own in New Year. So, but for many reasonable people, many reasonable organizations, we realize that the budgeting for the coming year starts by August, September to like October. They can already see into the new year and say, this is what is going to cost, this is what we're going to be spending next year. So they know what to allow into their operations, or what to entertain and what not to entertain. So often for most business owners, from idea base, your budget can be zero. Okay. But as your business begins to, that form of budgeting is allowed when your business is just on your head, and then you are beginning to plan and you begin to look at what do you need. But when your business has already graduated into operation, you are beginning to look at, okay, I need, I want to expand. You need to pay your staff. You can't start a business and you're expecting that, is what you sell the first month you use and pay your staff. So it's not done. Yeah. So I tell a lot of business owners that I've spoken to, that I've consulted with, in this Ogun State, plus or minus, we've been able to train not less than 20,000 business owners in the last 2 years, and who are entrepreneurs. And then we can I say this often and often again, that you need to learn to plan ahead when it comes to your operations, and that is where business owners begin to understand that, what I'm going to pay a salary for the next 2-3 months is not what I'm expecting to earn in the business. What I'm expecting to earn from, this is March, this is April, May, June, is something that I would have budgeted. I get the funding within my budget. Okay, if I'm selling this unit, I need to increase my sales to get this and that and all of that. Then what you're using to pay your staff, what you're using to run your expense, would have been something that you'd have gotten in the previous month. So this is how to budget effectively for most business owners. And then for small business owners whose business are in the idea stage, what they are drawing at the moment, why we could categorize that as zero budgeting, is because what they are still doing is from the idea stage. They are just wanting, I will need this, I will need that. Then they are now begin to look at what it will then cost them. Then they will now begin to look at how to get the resources, or whether they have to go loan or go for a grant to then pursue all of those ideas that they have written down. So those are another forms of these are the forms of budgeting that we often address. Okay,
let's talk about the mistakes that entrepreneurs do when they are budgeting. You have seen a lot of people, you have consulted for them, and seen where they fall in. So let's talk about that and give solutions to that. So what are the pitfalls that you see in budgeting for small and medium scale enterprise? Okay, so one of the things that I've noticed and I've realized is that most small-scale business owners, many of us who are in the mid-stage of our business, or those who are just setting out, is that many of us, or many people who jumped into business, do not have the actual idea or knowledge. Don't let me say idea, the knowledge required to run a business. The first thing I advocate for anywhere is that you should get knowledge. So when you understand that, for me as a business person, I need to get an understanding of how budgeting works, you would have put that into place. That helps you to even run your business better. So first and foremost is that as business owners, get knowledge. And that's why we have created many trainings, and we are also working with different organizations to bring, different training programs to SMEs within Ogun State community and the environment, to empower them to get knowledge. To say, when you understand that, budgeting is important, to learn about budgeting, you learn about your finance, because many business owners, as we speak, don't even have proper financial literacy skill. So this way, they don't even understand what budget is. So all the ones we are saying on TV, some people are hearing it for the first time. So you want to begin to look at how
what are the things I need to know about what I want to start? So when you have the knowledge, how do this business, who have been running for 5-10 years, how have they been doing it? So you want to be able to now take it up and say, oh, these businesses, oh, they have run for 10 years. This is what they do in terms of marketing. This is what they do in terms of budgeting. And then in terms of staffing. These things are very, very essential. So for my advice to most SMEs or business owners out there watching this show is that they take time to study. They learn. I mean, resources are everywhere on the internet, and then you can also, one of the things I will also add to it that is very, very important is that you need to ride on the shoulders of people who have gone ahead of you.
Like
Get mentorship. Get mentorship. You can't know it all. So you need to get mentorship. Get, people who can share their knowledge with you, how things worked for them, where they failed, and where you need not to fail. So that way you can evade a lot of mistakes you made in your business at the early stage. They can tell you, oh, why do you want to sell this? I think somebody has told it before, it didn't work. If you try it this way, then maybe your own might be different. This is why mentorship is important. So for me, as my advice to SMEs is, first of all, get knowledge. Second of all is to get mentorship. Thirdly is what is called continuous improvement. Continuous personal improvement. You need to begin to develop yourself. Personal development is key as business owners, or even for anybody, whether you're a business owner or not. Even if you're hiring a staff, if your staff are not keen about their personal development, it will have massive effect on your own business as well. So my advice to everybody listening to this show, whether you're a civil servant, you're a business owner, you're an employee, is to get personal development. Be key about it, be robust about their personal development. Learn. There are resources everywhere on the internet, not even now that we're in the age of AI. So you can learn a whole lot of things, by yourself. But much more importantly is, in everything that you do, get knowledge. Then seek mentorship. Then your journey to entrepreneurship will be smooth. So
what was the consequences of not having a budget for your business? Can you run?
The consequences are plenty. We can't even count it all. But some of the major consequences that you would experience is that you will begin to do what's called impulse spending, which would begin to eat into the capital of your business and cause the business to fail. So you want to understand that for every indecision that you make not to budget for a thing, it's also a decision for you to run that business down. So you want to look at it from the perspective of, if I'm not budgeting, what effect does it have on my business? Then when you are now budgeting, how does it help your business grow? And how strict are you following? Because it's one thing for you to budget, it's another thing for you to follow the budget through. So when you do not budget, you are at risk of running your business down, because you begin to spend every kobo that comes into that business, looking at it from the perspective of there's cash flow, whereas you are spending or eating up the capital for the business.
So let's go back to the issue of technology and the digital AI thing that we have now. Does it affect budgeting for business too? Because we know that technology is everywhere.
Of course.
AI is taking over everything, and people are upgrading themselves using AI for their professions. Can AI too and the technology be used while budgeting for your business?
Absolutely. These tools are not here to take your job or to kill your business. They are here to support and enhance your job. So, say for instance, you think alone before. You can now use your AI as your thinking partner to help you see how best to do things. So there are many, artificial intelligence tools and even, EPRs and softwares like that you can use for budgeting. I will not want to be mentioning names of tools so that I'm not advertising for those companies. But there are many technological tools that you can begin to adopt, for your budgeting, and also to improve the performance, to improve and enhance the operations of your business in terms of finance. There are many of them. There are many that comes even with some of these financial institutions now that you can begin to leverage. They provide you with tools even on their own. Some of the financial institutions provide you with tools on their own platforms that makes all of your finance and calculations easy, to budget, up to spending, and also to analyzing what you are spending and all of that. So I would encourage SMEs, business owners, individuals, to begin to take budgeting very, very serious, whether you're a business owner or you're an individual, is to begin to take budgeting very, very serious. And that's why you see our government come every year to say, oh, this is the budget for 2025, this is budget for 2026. But adherence to that budget is what we might not always get in governance, but in business you can adhere to it because you control what happens within your business, except from external forces and unforeseen circumstances that might happen based on policy somersault or some other things like that. But in your best interest, I would advise that you use leverage technologies like AI. You know, you don't understand what budgeting is, go there, ask, oh, I want to start a shoe business, blah blah blah, can you help me make a budget of 20,000 naira? Put the prompt, it helps you do something that you can then use subsequently to you know, be a guide for how you are going to leverage that budget that you have, or that fund that you have that you want to invest into that business more effectively. So
how often should you review your budgeting process? I asked the other time.
Okay.
Should you do it monthly, bi-monthly, or quarterly? What is the best time for you to review?
For me, I think it's important to review your budget almost like every month. Okay. Why do I say that? It's because we live in a fast-paced and fast-changing environment. Things go up. I cited an example of, you know, the price of fuel in the early part of this year and what it is right now. So you cannot work. You know, there's a need for you to begin to constantly review your budget. Or am I following through for two reasons? Am I following through the things that I said I'm going to do with this budget, with what I've had here, or is there any change in price that is already affecting this budget positively or negatively? So that you can begin to review and see, oh, I'm making progress, we are making more profit, we are making losses, you know, in terms of how we spend or what we are investing into the business. So I would advise, even for individuals, when you earn your salary, say your salary is 100K in the early part of the year, there's not the same value that money has in January it has now, because definitely your transport fare would have gone up, and some other things that surround you, say your utility bill. I mean, we've all heard that there's an increase in price in terms of electricity tariff. So things like that are already also eating into your budget. So when you visit your budget more frequently, like say on a period of say every month on an average, it helps you to gain clarity and also have direction as to whether you are meeting the mark for your budget or not. So
how easy is it for SMEs to follow through their budgeting plan? You know that SMEs are the major now. They have the larger chunk in the
economy. Yes, they are the carriers of this nation's economy, and even of the global economy.
How easy is it for them to carry through the plan of budgeting?
Well, for SMEs, I won't say it's easy because I've been there and I'm still there, and I can say for a fact that many a times we, based on policy somersault, price changes, different factors, it might not be easy to follow through your budget. I would not say anything in order to look nice to people. But what I'm saying is that even at that, it's important that you do constant review. Okay. So that review helps you to see what is working and what is not working, where you need to begin to adjust or make amendments. So for SMEs, my advice is that, you know, be disciplined. Okay. Discipline is key. Don't, when you want to follow through anything, you want to achieve anything, one primary thing that you need to establish and you need to imbibe is discipline. You must be disciplined about your budget. Oh, if you need to make a shift here and there to ensure that you're able to meet the mark for your budget. Oh, for instance, maybe you've planned some things in FS earlier on, and then now transportation in terms of logistics is taking a whole lot of them. You need to review and say, okay, where can we, you know, make some form of adjustment in this budget? For instance, maybe you have a budget for entertainment. You need to reduce your entertainment somewhat to fill in on the other end. So this is one of my major advice to SMEs or even individuals that are watching this show right now, to pay, you know, attention to their budget, but much more important is to be disciplined with their budget if they are going to achieve anything tangible in terms of financial growth.
Okay. Lastly, before we allow you go, and that will be the last question for this program, what advice, why do you think it is so very, very important for business owners all across the time that we have all over the globe to focus on their business budget, and why is it beneficial for them to stay true on the process?
All right. So let me start with the last question, which is, why is it beneficial to follow through your budget? Number one thing is, when you follow through what you have planned, it gives you the room and the joy to see that you have achieved something. So when you follow through your budget, one of the things is that it helps you, because when you are doing that budget, you're not just doing budget on how to spend. Even though on this part of the world, what people do or what people budget for is always, how do I spend this money? They don't budget for how do I make more money or how do I save more. So, and like I've established in the earlier part of the program, that it's important that you make budget for how much do you want to make. How much do you also want to, use to execute or market your product and all of those things. So when you are able to execute your budget effectively, I studied entrepreneurship and innovation from Rome Business School, and one of the things that I learned, which had also helped my own establishment, is the ability to follow through. Because when you are able to follow through certain, business document that you have prepared, or in terms of budget and the rest of that business plan, it helps you to achieve or to meet your mark, and that's the joy for everybody. So your other question before that question, I'm trying to recall now, is to
the importance
is to take budgeting very, very serious. I said earlier also, which is, see that a man who wants to build a house, that will not first of all sit down to count the cost. So when you are taking budgeting so important in everything that you do, whether you're in business or you're an individual, what that does to you is that it helps you to spot loopholes where you are spending money that you ought to have been saving for other things. So I mean, some people have used the money they're supposed to use to build house. There's a popular Yoruba terminology that I grew up hearing. They'll say, "Owó tá máa fi kọ́lé àkífín ṣayé," and those people now see now wọ́n ti kọ́lé, and now they cannot even do their year again. So you want to take budgeting very, very important and follow through everything that you have in your budget.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Toby Awaye, for coming on the program and speaking so much about the benefit of business budgets and how important it is for the growth of the economy and the businesses. Thank you so much for having me. And now that is how we'll close the program, the Profit Point Show. And next week promises to be another interesting one, as we'll be having a full glare of the program. The first and second segment will come in and we'll do our program fully. My name remains Charity James. If you want to place your advert or sponsor any of our programs, you can call this number 0803 396 0423. That's the number to call for adverts and sponsorship. That is the size of the program for this moment. We'll see you again, God willing, next Thursday, and it will be an educative one. Take care of yourself. Bye-bye.